Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine you're driving home. Your family is waiting for you. The weather is getting worse. Rain is falling harder every minute. The fog is so thick you can barely see the road ahead. Then, you round a corner and realize there's nothing between your tires and a 600-meter drop. Would you keep driving? Thousands of people had no choice. Welcome to Bolivia's North Yungas Road, a place the world came to know by another name, Death Road. Every place has a story, but some stories are hidden beyond the map. Before we begin our journey, we need to start in one of the world's highest capital cities, La Paz, Bolivia, more than 3,600 meters above sea level. Here, the air is thin, the mornings are cold, and snow-covered peaks dominate the horizon. To most visitors, it feels like the roof of the world. But hidden beyond those mountains lies a road that has fascinated and terrified travelers for decades, the North Yungas Road, a road that descends from the frozen Andes into the warm Amazon basin. In just 64 kilometers, you'll travel through climates that feel like entirely different countries. You'll leave icy mountain peaks behind, drive through thick cloud forests, cross dozens of waterfalls, and eventually arrive in lush tropical rainforest. Few roads on Earth offer such dramatic changes in scenery. But that isn't why people travel here. People come because of the reputation. A reputation built over decades. A reputation earned through tragedy. The journey begins long before the danger does. Leaving La Paz, the highway feels surprisingly normal. Wide lanes, smooth asphalt, traffic flowing in both directions. You begin to wonder, is this really the road everyone talks about? Then, the paved highway ends, the mountains close in, the road becomes gravel, the cliffs become steeper, the clouds become thicker. Without warning, you arrive at the entrance to the original North Yungas Road. There's no dramatic gate, no flashing warning lights, just a weathered sign, and beyond it, one of the most infamous roads ever built. The first few corners seem manageable, then the road narrows, the cliff edge creeps closer, the valley disappears beneath you. Every turn reveals another impossible stretch carved directly into the mountainside. You instinctively grip the steering wheel tighter. Even from the safety of your screen, it's impossible not to imagine yourself behind the wheel. Standing here today, it's difficult to understand how anyone believed a road could exist in a place like this. Vertical cliffs, unstable rock, heavy rainfall, frequent landslides. Yet somehow, nearly a century ago, people carved a route through these mountains, not with modern machinery, not with laser surveying equipment, but with basic tools, explosives, and extraordinary determination. Every meter of road had to be cut directly into solid rock. Workers balanced on cliff faces where one mistake could prove fatal. Every blast echoed through the valleys. Every section completed brought new challenges. Nature fought back constantly. Rockfalls, mudslides, floods. Nothing about this mountain wanted to be crossed. Yet the road slowly emerged, twisting around cliffs, disappearing into clouds, clinging to the mountainside as though it had always belonged there. Even today, looking at it from above, it seems almost impossible that humans built it at all. Here's what surprises most people. Death Road is beautiful, spectacularly beautiful. Towering waterfalls tumble down sheer cliffs. Bright green moss covers ancient rock walls. Colorful orchids cling to impossible ledges. Clouds drift silently through the valleys below. Sunlight breaks through the mist, transforming the mountains into something almost magical. It's easy to become distracted, and that's exactly what makes this place so dangerous. Because every breathtaking view has a deadly edge. Every photo opportunity sits beside an enormous drop. Every bend in the road hides another blind corner. This is nature at its most extraordinary and its most unforgiving. But we've only just reached the beginning, because this road wasn't simply built through mountains, it was built through war. And the story behind its construction is every bit as remarkable as the road itself. Long before tourists arrived with cameras, before mountain bikes, before the nickname Death Road spread around the world, this road existed for one reason: survival. In the early 1930s, Bolivia found itself at war with neighboring Paraguay. The conflict became known as the Chaco War. It was one of South America's bloodiest conflicts. When the fighting ended, thousands of Paraguayan soldiers became prisoners of war. Many were put to work on one of the most ambitious engineering projects Bolivia had ever attempted: building a road through the Andes. Imagine standing on these cliffs nearly 100 years ago. No modern excavators, no GPS, no safety harnesses, no guardrails. Only picks, shovels, explosives, and sheer determination. Every meter had to be carved directly into solid mountain rock. Workers balanced above terrifying drops while blasting pathways through the cliffs. Many sections collapsed almost as quickly as they were built. Heavy rain washed away days of work. Landslides buried equipment. Loose rock constantly threatened the crews. Yet they continued. Slowly, painfully, the road stretched further into the mountains. Nobody imagined that decades later, millions of people around the world would know its name. The mountains didn't make the road famous. People did. As Bolivia grew, so did the traffic. Buses carried families between villages. Farm trucks transported fruit and coffee from the Yungas. Heavy trucks climbed toward La Paz carrying supplies. Every day, vehicles traveled in both directions. The problem? The road was never designed for that amount of traffic. In many places, it measured less than 3 meters wide, barely enough room for a single truck. Yet somehow, 2 buses would meet head-on around blind corners. One driver would stop, the other would inch forward. Sometimes, one vehicle had to reverse, along the cliff edge, for hundreds of meters. One wrong movement could send dozens of people into the valley below. Drivers learned to communicate using hand signals, headlights, horns, and experience. Every journey became a negotiation, not just with another driver, but with the mountain itself. There's something unusual about Death Road. Unlike almost every other road in Bolivia, drivers traveled on the left-hand side. At first, that seems strange, until you realize why. On most roads, the driver sits closer to the center line, but here, the driver needed to see exactly how close they were to the cliff. Driving on the left gave them the best possible view of the edge. It wasn't about convenience, it was about survival. Professional drivers developed incredible skill. Many knew every bend, every waterfall, every loose section of gravel. Some spent decades driving the route, yet none of them ever underestimated it. Because Death Road punished overconfidence. The mountain didn't care how experienced you were. Rain could change everything in minutes. Fog could hide an approaching truck. A rockfall could block the road without warning. Even today, locals will tell you, Respect the mountain, because the mountain always wins. Over the decades, stories of terrible accidents spread across Bolivia. A truck disappearing into the clouds, a bus failing to make a corner, families waiting for loved ones who never came home. White crosses began appearing beside the road. One, then another, then another. Each one marking a life lost. Each one reminding every driver that they weren't simply traveling a road. They were taking a risk. At its worst, the North Yungas Road became known as one of the deadliest roads on Earth. Some years, hundreds of people lost their lives. It wasn't one catastrophic event. It was a relentless pattern. Rain, fog, loose gravel, human error, mechanical failure. Each tragedy added another chapter to the road's reputation. Eventually, people stopped calling it North Yungas Road. Across Bolivia, across South America, and eventually around the world, it became known simply as Death Road. By the early 2000s, everything was about to change. A new highway would steal away the trucks, the buses, and most of the danger. But instead of disappearing into history, Death Road found an entirely new purpose, one that nobody could have predicted. By the early 2000s, something remarkable happened. After decades of accidents, the Bolivian government completed a new highway connecting La Paz with the Yungas region. It was wider, safer, paved, protected by barriers. For the first time, most buses and freight trucks no longer had to risk Death Road. Almost overnight, the traffic disappeared. The road fell silent. The endless procession of buses, gone. The overloaded trucks, gone. The daily chaos that had defined the mountains for generations, gone. Many believed this would be the end of Death Road, that nature would slowly reclaim it. The jungle would swallow it. The waterfalls would wash it away. The world would eventually forget it ever existed. But something extraordinary happened instead. At first, there were only a handful. Adventure seekers looking for something different. People willing to swap comfortable holidays for genuine adrenaline. Word spread quickly. There was a road in Bolivia where you could descend more than 3,500 meters in a single day, beginning high in the freezing Andes and finishing deep inside the humid rainforest. Very few places on Earth offered anything like it. Soon, travel companies began offering guided rides. Each morning, small groups climbed aboard buses in La Paz. Mountain bikes strapped to the roof, excitement mixed with nervous laughter. Some had traveled halfway around the world for this moment. Others wondered if they had made a terrible mistake. Standing at the starting point, looking down into the clouds, everyone asked themselves the same question. Am I really going to ride down there? The descent begins slowly. The first corners seem manageable. The cool mountain air feels refreshing. Then, the road narrows. Loose gravel shifts beneath the tires. Mist rolls across the cliffs. Water pours over the track from hidden waterfalls above. Every rider instinctively squeezes the brakes, not because someone tells them to, because the mountain demands it. There are no shortcuts, no opportunities to relax. Every bend requires complete concentration. Every meter deserves respect. Experienced guides constantly remind riders, don't look over the edge. Look where you want to go. Because if your eyes drift toward the valley, your bike often follows. For many riders, the greatest challenge isn't the road, it's controlling fear. It's easy to think of Death Road as a tourist attraction, but that's only part of the story. Scattered throughout these mountains, small farming communities still call this place home. Families grow coffee, bananas, citrus fruit, coca leaves. Children still walk sections of the old road. Farmers still drive along parts of it. Neighbors still visit one another using routes that outsiders often describe as terrifying. To them, this isn't Death Road. It's simply the road they've always known. Generations have lived beside these cliffs. They understand the mountain. They respect its moods. They know when heavy rain means stay home. They know when loose rocks signal danger. For visitors, the road is an unforgettable adventure. For locals, it's part of everyday life. That contrast changes the way you see this place. It isn't just a destination, it's someone's home. Even today, despite improved safety, guided tours, protective equipment, and experienced instructors, Death Road demands absolute respect. Weather changes without warning. Fog can swallow the entire valley within minutes. Heavy rain transforms compact gravel into slippery mud. Rockfalls remain common. The mountain reminds every visitor that this is still nature, untamed, unpredictable, unforgiving. Perhaps that's why so many people remember this experience for the rest of their lives. Not because they conquered the mountain, but because they realized nobody ever truly does. The road may no longer be the world's busiest death trap, but its story is far from over. Because beneath the fear, beyond the cliffs, and hidden among the clouds, lies one final lesson, one that every traveler takes home. Take one last look around, the clouds drifting silently through the valley, the waterfalls crashing from impossible heights, the jungle stretching endlessly toward the Amazon. It's almost impossible to believe that a place responsible for so much tragedy can also be one of the most beautiful landscapes on Earth. That contradiction is exactly what draws people here. Human beings have always been fascinated by places that test us. We climb the world's highest mountains. We dive into the deepest oceans. We cross vast deserts. Not because they're easy, but because they remind us how small we really are. Death Road belongs in that same category. It isn't simply a road, it's a challenge, a place that asks every visitor the same question. How far are you willing to go? For some, the answer is a mountain bike. For others, it's sitting in a vehicle with a local driver. And for millions watching from home, it's simply witnessing a place unlike anywhere else on Earth. When most people hear the words, "world's most dangerous road," they imagine fearless adventurers, professional cyclists, thrill seekers. But after spending time here, you begin to realize something. The bravest people aren't the tourists. They're the people who have always called these mountains home. The parents driving their children to school, the farmers carrying fresh produce to market, the mechanics repairing vehicles in tiny mountain villages, the emergency crews responding when the weather turns against them. They don't travel this road for excitement. They travel it because life continues, because work still needs to be done, because families still need each other. That quiet courage rarely makes headlines, yet it's the most inspiring story this road has to tell. Modern engineering has achieved incredible things. We've built bridges across oceans, roads through mountains, tunnels beneath rivers. But Death Road reminds us, nature always has the final say. Every year, heavy rain reshapes these cliffs. Water carves new channels through the mountainside. Loose rocks become landslides. Vegetation slowly reclaims sections of the old road. The mountain is constantly changing. It doesn't care about human schedules, or deadlines, or plans. Visitors quickly learn the most important lesson of all. Don't fight the mountain, respect it. Because the moment you stop respecting it, that's when it becomes dangerous. Perhaps that's why guides constantly repeat the same advice before every descent. Stay alert, stay focused, Stay humble. Those words aren't just about cycling, they're about life. It's remarkable how one place can have two completely different identities. For decades, Death Road represented fear, loss, tragedy. Today, it represents adventure, discovery, and resilience. That's one of the reasons this road fascinates people around the world. It didn't erase its past, it learned from it. The safer bypass gave local communities a better future. At the same time, the original road found a new purpose. Instead of carrying overloaded buses, it now carries stories. Stories told by travelers who return home with a completely different appreciation for nature, for courage, and for the people who have lived beside these mountains for generations. Sometimes, the most extraordinary places aren't extraordinary because they're beautiful. They're extraordinary because they remind us how fragile life really is. So, let's return to the question we asked at the beginning. You're sitting behind the wheel. Rain taps gently against the windscreen. Clouds drift across the valley. The road narrows. The cliff edge appears beside you. There are no guardrails, no second chances, only the road ahead. Would you keep driving? Some people would, some wouldn't. Neither answer is wrong, because this journey was never really about courage. It was about understanding. Understanding the people who built this road, the families who depended on it, the drivers who mastered it, the communities that still call these mountains home, and the incredible power of nature itself. Death Road isn't famous because it's dangerous. It's famous because it reminds us that the world's most unforgettable places often demand something in return. Respect, patience, humility, and sometimes a little courage. If today's expedition reminded you that the world still holds extraordinary places waiting to be discovered, then you've found your community. Here at Beyond the Map Expedition, we don't just visit destinations, we uncover the stories hidden behind them. If you enjoyed this journey, join our growing community of explorers by subscribing. Every expedition takes us somewhere extraordinary, and we're only just getting started. Tell us in the comments, would you drive Death Road, or would you turn around? Next time, we're traveling deep into the jungle in search of a forgotten city that vanished beneath the trees for centuries. A place so mysterious, many believed it was nothing more than a legend, until explorers found it again. Until our next expedition, keep looking beyond the map.